Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show. Meet the trusted experts who will give you straight answers and will help guide you on the path of later life care. Now, here's your host, founder, caregiver, and CEO, Suzanne Newman.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And I'm here with David Phillips, and he's an amazing estate planning, long-term care expert. And he works with families and individuals and seniors and those that are younger on your long-term care options. And this is something that's really important. I learned the hard way. I always say I'm the poster child that for everything that could go wrong, did go wrong financially for my mom, because she was not adequately set up. She listened to the wrong individuals. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that don't give good advice. And David, it's just such an honor and a pleasure to have you on our program. And I am interested, we talked about in our earlier segment about just the crisis across the country on long-term care. Could you elaborate a little bit on how this crisis is seriously negatively impacting the Americans?
Well, first of all, the percentages are there. I mean, 72% of those over 65 are going to have an event.
Right.
And while that statistic is a hard statistic, only 1 in 30 adults, now that includes every adult, have a long-term care policy. Only 1 in 30. And in fact, over age 50, only 7% have any kind of a plan at all. So what we're doing is we're totally exposed. We're saying, okay, well, I don't need a plan because either it's never going to happen to me,
right?
Or I'm going to use my self-funded, I've got this money here set aside for care. And all of a sudden, all of our money is gone because it got used up really fast. And instead of leaving it to the kids, we use it for care. And the leveraged care solution, this concept that the insurance industry actually has set up for us, is a viable solution. We used to only have the use it or lose it long-term care policies. That was the only option other than self-funding. And now with the leveraged care solution, we have 3 basic options that we can choose from that are all viable solutions that can help us solve this long-term care crisis, not only for us individually, but for our families. Because if we don't do something and we don't have the assets shifted and transferred correctly, our kids are going to have to take care of us. And then our kids' kids are going to have to take care of the kids and so on. So it's really a good idea to get some planning in place now, some strategies, at least understand what your options are. A lot of people are just scratching their head saying, hey, well, I'm going to avoid this bus. I don't want this bus. But COVID proved that, it can happen to anybody at any time.
Absolutely.
It can be a short one or it can be a long one. And, just having back surgery myself, I know that, it could go wrong, and I could end up not being here today because of that surgery. So, you know how vulnerable, how fine the line is, how exposed we are. You're fine when everything is going, when all cylinders are clicking, but man, when something goes wrong, it
absolutely.
Anyway, and most people want to be cared for in their home. Wouldn't that be an ideal situation where you have someone come? 90% AARP says that 90% of all seniors want to be taken care of. So if that's really what we want, and we know with COVID, almost 40% of all deaths from COVID were in nursing homes. We don't really want to be there if we don't have to be there.
No.
And we don't want to send our loved ones into that situation where we can't even visit them like it was with COVID. So we really want to be in a position where we have options. We have an option. And if we never have a long-term care bed, wouldn't it be great if the money that we put into this plan got returned to us, or returned to not us, because we won't be around, but returned to our family? So that's called a premium long-term care option. And it's one of the leverage care solutions.
Right, right. And the thing is I think what it's just obvious, in being in the business that I have been in this industry now for 15 years. The common thing is nobody wants to talk about aging. Nobody wants to be reminded that they're aging. And so we tend to be, as a society, in denial, about what's going on. It's always about the shiny object that's happening right now, right? And we forget about the future. I'm sure that you're seeing quite a bit of that.
Absolutely. And the denial aspect of that it's never going to happen to me, obviously, it is an obstacle. Procrastination is the other one. I mean, you just put it off and put it off and put it off. I've sat down with couples before, laid out their whole strategy. It looked marvelous. They understood it. They understood the impact, and they just didn't move. They put it off and put it off, and then the inevitable happens. They get in a position where now they can't qualify.
Right.
You've got to strike while the iron's hot, while you are still healthy, while you still have the means to work with and apply to the leveraged care solution. It's not something you wiggle your nose like Bewitched and it happens. So.
Well, and I think too, it's the ignorance of thinking that, well, I have a job and they provide services for me when I get old. Well, not necessarily. You don't necessarily know what those are. Yes, there are great benefit programs out there for families, but it's, again, once you're gone from the company, oftentimes, unless you're getting some sort of a pension, you're not going to get those benefits. Isn't that correct?
Right. And like I said, only 1 in 30 adults have a long-term care plan in place. And so what's going to end up happening is that we're going to be forced to go on Medicaid.
Yep.
And to get on Medicaid, you have to totally spend down your assets and actually be a pauper and not have any money at all.
Right.
And then you get to go to the long-term care facilities that the government assigns you to go to. You don't get to stay at home. You have to go to where they tell you. You have to do what they tell you to do. In fact, almost half of all long-term care benefits today are paid by Medicaid.
Yeah.
So that means that people are being forced to basically spend down. And right now you can act, if you have the means, you need to reposition some of those means right now in a leveraged care solution.
And this is so important. And so you have a newsletter that obviously we promote at the top of our homepage, but tell us a little bit about your newsletter and also how can we reach you?
Great. The newsletter is called Generational Wealth Strategies. It was created by myself and a couple of other gurus, Rick Durfee, attorney, Todd Phillips, my son, who does the Safe Money Corner, and Melody Durfee, who talks about charitable giving and whatnot. And it started this year by Salem, and it's a national publication. They can get it by going to generationalwealthnewsletter.com.
Fabulous.
Generationalwealthnewsletter.com. Yeah.
Fabulous. David, you and we're going to come back right after this. We at Answers for Elders thank you for listening. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.